This is a video about how a $3 bottle of pills once a week has cured my irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. It's an over the counter med, so I'm not making any money on this. It's just changed my life. So I wanted to make a video and allow others maybe to find out about it. Now, of course, this is my irritable bowel syndrome. If you've suffered with this like I have for decades, you know that a diagnosis of IBS can mean a whole lot of things, and not every IBS is the same. So first, I'm going to tell you the symptoms and my experience with my IBS, so you can make a determination about whether or not this is worth trying for you. My irritable bowel syndrome had onset at adolescence, and it's the kind that's characterized by diarrhea, and that's often called nervous stomach or spastic colon in days gone by. So the symptoms are cramping, often painful cramping, urgency, like you got to get to the bathroom now. And after a really bad bout of this, I'll just be physically exhausted because all those internal muscles have been working overtime for 20, 30 minutes, and you get done and you just feel like you've gone on a long run or played tennis for 3 hours, and you're just got to lie down. Definitely related to stress for me, for sure. Stressful situations would always set this off. Food, yeah. When I thought about it, I didn't think about it as being as noticeable for food. I noticed that if I ate a really big meal or a really heavy meal, that this would be certainly associated with it. I knew not to do that, but stress for me was probably a bigger onset. Duration. Well, like I said, this has gone on for decades. I'm in my 40s as I'm recording this, and as I went through adolescence into early adulthood, symptoms definitely got worse. The experience of it got worse to the point where finally I really sought some intervention as an adult. So first doctor I went to, late teens, early 20s. He was an old school doctor. Really liked him. He really sympathized. He had a great bedside manner. He talked about some of his own struggles with, nervous stomach, spastic colon. His advice was, eat your oatmeal and grow up. You'll probably grow out of this. It's caused by stress. It's caused by, of course, when you're an adolescent, you've got lots of stress in your life as you try to figure out what you're doing with your life, and that was his take on it. Okay, I went off to grad school in my mid 20s to late 20s, and I had a fantastic doctor. He was an internist. He took all this very seriously. Said, "Yeah, you've got kind of the classic symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. I want to make sure you don't have irritable bowel disease or Crohn's or something like that." So he scheduled a colonoscopy for me when I was in my mid to late 20s. And at the outcome of that was he gave me a loperamide uh, prescription that I could especially use before stressful events. So this is basically the active ingredient in Imodium AD, I think, something related to that, something like that. And it's a muscle relaxant that's supposed to, especially relax that spastic colon. So I have a job where I teach a lot, and so uh, morning before a big presentation, a big teaching event, got to get up in front of people and talk. That's of course stressful. I would take this pill, and it seemed to work okay, but it definitely wasn't something that I could be on all the time. It was more for specific events, but whatever. It helped somewhat, and it felt good to have a doctor who kind of knew what he was doing. Well, I moved in my late 30s. Uh, it was kind of still bad, probably less frequently bad, but still bad. Had a not so great doctor. When again it kind of became unignorable again that I was having bouts. Went through a stressful time in work and definitely got worse then. He gave me another prescription. I can't remember what it was now. But it was something like loperamide, same kind of action, that it was a muscle relaxant. Gave me a really bad dry mouth, which is not good when your job is talking to people. Well, the breakthrough came in my late 30s when I had gallbladder attack. I had gallbladder stones and several attacks in my late 30s. led to me getting my gallbladder removed at 39. And for some months after the removal, my symptoms really improved, which I thought was weird. And then they got way, way, way worse. I mean, way worse. Like, really, really, I mean, worse than it was in college. Really bad urgency, especially. You would just have to plan if you had anything going on. You just had to not eat for hours before any kind of major event, that would cause me any kind of stress, or just when I knew that access to a bathroom would take more than 60 seconds. That led me to, get on the interwebs and look at, basically, searches combining IBS and I had my gallbladder removed, just trying to figure out what's going on. Because remember, at this time, I've got, doctor number 3 that I'm not too impressed with. So I turned to Dr. Google, and searching for IBS and gallbladder removal led me to this um, internet article. Systematic review the management of chronic diarrhea due to bile acid malabsorption. I'll put that link in the description below and you can read it for yourself. But the gist of it is this is an article about people who all of a sudden, when they had their gallbladder out, start to have IBS like symptoms. And the docs figured out, well, it's not really IBS, and these people, they had no symptoms of this beforehand. It's caused by their gallbladder removal. So what's happening is, with no gallbladder to store the gall, it's just getting dumped right into the stream. And some people have a hard time. Their guts have a hard time dealing with all that bile acid. So they recommended an anti-cholesterol medication because that works by binding with the bile acid and flushing the cholesterol out of your system that way. They're like, well, we can just flush the gall out of the system in this way, and that's great. But they said some people don't tolerate that well. Some people don't tolerate the anti-cholesterol medication. So for them, we'll just give them an over-the-counter antacid that specifically binds with bile acid, and that is aluminum hydroxide, which is one of the 2 active ingredients in Gaviscon. And so there's your $3 cure, the Walmart version of Gaviscon. Amazing. I still can't believe it. But for $2.84, this has changed my life. I take 4 pills before a meal. I take 2 pills before a snack. And I've been doing that for 19 months now. And I'm calling it 95+% effectiveness. I mean, it cannot stress enough. Completely changed my life. Some foods or meals can still break through. But now, whereas before, like I said, I associated this always with stress. I noticed a big meal could cause me problems, but for me, the triggering effect was much more often stress. Well, having my gallbladder out, whatever the combination of this was, I assume it took out that buffer of the gallbladder, and it was stress that would kind of, send that bile acid in, um, it, later on. Who knows, whatever. But now that the pattern is so much that I'm 95% better, now I can see a definite pattern in some foods, and that is even when I'm on this 4 pills before a meal, 2 pills before a snack, that some foods can break through that, especially pork fat, or in combination pork fat and eggs, sausage and eggs. If I'm going to eat sausage and eggs now, I'm either going to eat a very small portion with my 4 pills, or if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat a regular meal. I'll take 6 pills before that, and it seems to do okay. And likewise, sugar plus dairy plus large amounts, so like lots of ice cream will cause this problem. But a glass of milk is fine, cheese is fine, a donut is fine, moderate eggs are fine, lean pork, fine. So I've been able to actually identify, and again, this obviously points to the bile acid being the problem. Safety of this, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I've been on this for 19 months. No other side effects. Again, this is for my IBS, which is characterized by diarrhea, stress, food. Your mileage may vary. I would say if your IBS is characterized by constipation, I'm guessing that bile acid malabsorption is not your problem. Definitely one of the side effects of these pills that's listed on the bottle is constipation. So it's causing a lot more binding. So if your problem already is constipation, I wouldn't guess that would help you. But after about 6 months on this and completely changed my life, talking to my wife about it, I told her, you know, if I read some article that says aluminum hydroxide is going to give you cancer, might give you a stomach cancer in 20 years, I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice. Um, I know all the hippies don't like aluminum underarm deodorant, right? Because it's going to give you Alzheimer's or something. Maybe. But you got to die of something. And in the meantime, I would like to live. So that's what I'm doing. It helped me. I really hope it helps you. Um, God bless, and later on.